All right, we are recording. Okay, good. That was Megan. All right, tracing paper, roll of tracing paper. Very nice to have if you don't already know that. So this, I'm getting down near the end of my box here. There. So with markers, blending, if I have like, even on this, which one did I have? Like, oh wow. All right, so if you take this like a marker like that, and you want to mix it with that, you can see these are similar in terms of value, but you can also see that the layering this on top of here changes the color. Now these, on absorbent paper like this sketchbook, the marker will soak in fairly quickly. There is a type of paper, marker paper, that is, marker paper can be nice to use, but it's an additional expense, and it's also it's not as absorbent, and so the marker will sit on the paper. It's like you have to kind of learn how to use marker paper. So I think it's more straightforward if you use a sketchbook with like a smooth surface paper, and I think it'll be it's perfectly good. I do it all the time. So
what about palette paper? Or is it?
What's that?
Oh, no. What about palette paper?
One more time.
It definitely is non-absorbent at all.
Which paper?
Palette paper?
Oh yeah, definitely not. That's meant to like not have it soak in. So like here, like the tracing paper is not absorbent at all, and this will sit on the surface. And I can, this is where I can take my clear blender and this will just kind of run out of it. There's one other. So like that. So that's what the blender does right there. With pencil, over the top of this stuff, you can see the white pencil will sit right on top of it. Any of these will. And so you can adjust these colors. You can see where the yellow looks like there. And you can so the combining marker and pencil with the way you blend it will allow you to create more colors. in this paper that's got a little bit of a texture, and so you can use this like the brown on top allows the color beneath to show through a little bit. So it kind of like it mixes optically. Oh. All right. So you can also use the this will happen to you too, where you get this array of supplies all around you and it just starts to close in. Sometimes you can use the graphite pencil, but the graphite pencil is a lot is shiny, and you got to be careful because it might make the surface look a little bit just like dirty or shiny. Darkening this. Where's a dark pencil? Let me. Should be. Is that black or blue? That is black. So you can add this like add shadow with black colored pencil or with a very dark brown colored pencil. Sometimes with colors, the dark brown is better than black because it just works. Color will work better with color for shading sometimes. So, yeah. All right. So now one last thing with the white pencil. If you have a light value color of marker, like that, sometimes you need these really light colors. You'll see with this dark red, you can see that white pencil show up right away, but you can't see it much on that lighter color because there's not enough contrast. The white pencil, when you're drawing, like I use this to put like sharp, like highlight edges onto like the corner of a piece of furniture, and it's really kind of convenient that you can just like use this and just like zip in a little like corner on a piece of like on a table, and it makes it look like there's little like light reflection on the corner. So, all right, good. Okay. So one thing I want to talk about the basics of perspective, which is really kind of like pretty critical to the class. Which actually you can't do this class can't teach perspective and rendering without perspective. So, how many of you? So let's see. I guess I know a lot of you have been introduced to perspective because I taught it to you. But before I begin, does anyone have any basic question about perspective? All right. Good. Well, so what perspective is a drawing methodology that will recreate the way we see. It recreates how human vision records depth and allows you to create a realistic image of three-dimensional space as we expect to see it. It's very useful for interior design because, as you know, you design something that is, an idea that is a proposal or something that is prospective, and you can create a very realistic image of what this space will look like. And so it allows you to imagine, like to visualize a space you've imagined. Now, make sure I've got a good soft pencil so you can see this really clearly. Drafting brush. All right. All right, so perspective assumes that there is a horizon. Horizon line equals eye level in the drawing. 1 point perspective, you'll have a vanishing point that's somewhere on that line, and that is the point of convergence for parallel edges that recede. And so let's say we're doing right here 1 point, and I suggest you follow along with me in a sketchbook or on a larger sheet if you like. 1 point perspective assumes that you are looking straight at something that is receding directly away from you into the distance. And one of the best ways, one of the most direct ways to imagine this is like a highway in the desert. And this is your eye level, this is the horizon, this is the road. For some reason, you're standing in the middle of it. Hopefully this is, there's nobody needs to drive on it. And I can give you a little bit of a visual anchor by putting that mountains in the distance. Does this, just this little bit, does this start to look like real space to you?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Does to me too.
Yes.
All right. So what we have here, just in terms of the way this works, you know that the sides of the road are parallel to each other. But you don't draw them parallel to each other. If you drew them truly parallel to each other, if you say, here's my horizon and here's my road, that's not how you experience it, unless you are looking at it directly from above. This wouldn't work in terms of depth and perspective. This works in terms of depth and perspective because this is how we would expect to see it. And you don't think about it, but if it's not there, you'll know it's not there. You'll know something's wrong if you try to draw something and it's incorrect, or that it is not the way we see it. There's a lot of information that you just accumulate over the course of your lifetime that is automatic. It's in the background. When you're walking down the street, you don't need to observe perspective. You just need to know, you're on the sidewalk, you're navigating, where you're going. That all just happens kind of automatically. But, this is what you're seeing, is something like this. So if you have parallel edges, and we accept that parallel edges, as they recede, will appear to converge at a point, in this case, on the horizon. And so we'll say at eye level. And if you have another object parallel, let's say there's a building here, next to the highway. And this, this may not make complete sense in terms of civil engineering, but I'll just draw this building here. Okay. Now, I draw that. The bottom and the top of the building are also going to the same vanishing point, which tells me this building is parallel to the road. The top of the building will angle down to the vanishing point. The bottom will angle up. And, if this is your eye level, and really if you're standing like right here in this space, eye level is here. Like if there is a person standing there, this is your view. This is like reproduces the view of somebody looking at this scene. So of course you can't see yourself looking at this scene. But if this is like a, let's see, legs, there. So if there's a person in this picture and their eyes are approximately there, we get them scaled about right. Get that head there. There. Ta-da. That's a little low. Whatever. I'm not gonna. It's close. This person's a little taller than the viewer. That's about like the scale of a person here, eye level, and even if there were somebody standing like way over here, that person would be much smaller. Which gives you some sense of scale. So that gives you some idea of the scale of that building. If there's let's say there's just a doorway here. The top of this is above your eye level. Wherever this is, like on this plane of the facade of the building, that's going to the vanishing point there. If there's some like little tiny basement window or something down there, a duct of some sort. Is this making sense? Uh-oh, it's not.
It does. It does.
Yeah, So now if you had this here, so with 1 point perspective, if we have like, let's say I'm just going to put like something like there's a box. Let's say this is a walking path, so this is safe. Vertical, and then from here you can see where like this plane on this side is very foreshortened. You don't really see much of it. Yeah. So the front, like here, the front end here that I see is just a rectangle. The edges that recede seem to be converging and getting closer together. So like here, and I wanted to get to this here because like if this is an opening and I want to show some thickness to this wall, this is like the bottom of like this base where like this is a right angle. This is coming toward me, and then it turns to a 90-degree angle. That's going to be a horizontal. And then the top of it would be like that. And if you're working with graphite and it's getting kind of smudgy, put a piece of paper down so that I can like rest my hand on it and not smear all the graphite underneath it so badly. Okay.
So are all of the lines that indicate kind of depth just all radiating in a circle from that one point right there?
Yes. Yeah, so if there's something over here, let's say, for example, there's like a, something like a, structure over here. Darn it. Oh, it's so... Be right on top of this. The challenge, like if you're sitting, like I'm sitting and this is on a horizontal surface in front of me, I'm seeing the drawing at a foreshortened angle, and it can be really hard for me to see clearly, what I'm doing. So I really should be more like over my drawing. Sometimes I will stand up. Standing is actually a good way to see the drawing really clearly. Okay. But yes, this is all, so you could say that these lines are radiating, but really what it is these edges are receding to the vanishing point. Yeah. Okay. Then here, if this is a closed door, that is a really big door. It's like some monastery or something. There. All right. And then like here, like if you have like windows, now if you had like a line of windows here, you could just like make like a half. So the height, you can kind of like scale the height to be the same, and then you'd have to kind of approximate depth, like how deep is that window? And just like make them gradually, these verticals get farther apart because it looks like it gets bigger as it comes towards you. All right. Now, if you can use this if it helps you. Like if I want to check the accuracy of this angle or this angle, I can take a straight edge, put my pencil on the vanishing point, rotate it to the top of this line right here, and do that. And with architectural edges, it can be helpful. Now, if you're going to use this for a vertical, I would be cautious because I don't know if this is perpendicular really to the horizon line. Like if you have a triangle, you might use a triangle and like start by making sure that your horizon line is even, like measured from the edge of the paper so that it's really nice so you know it's parallel to the edge of the paper. Then you could use a triangle off the bottom edge of or the top edge of your paper. I think freehand drawing is really good. I will want you to do this freehand whenever you can, because that's just like it's more control. Like I want you to learn control when you're doing this. I don't mind if you use a straight edge to just to check to make sure you're getting something right. But if I'm sitting down and drawing something as a part of trying to explain something visually to someone, it's helpful if all or most of it is done freehand, because it just goes faster. But that's just, if you're new to this, you need to develop the skill, and that's just, that's practice, and you need to be able to see to see that it looks right, and to be confident that it is right. And in that case, like if I'm wondering, like, how much am I bending this? Because that happens. Then I can do that, and I can check and see. Yeah, that's way off. So there, caught myself in an error. Oh no. You will make mistakes. So, just accept that mistakes are going to happen. And when you can identify them, correct them. There we go. And see how that all right. Good. How's that? Kind of cool, isn't it?
Very cool. You made it look easy.
That's the benefit of practice. Give my mountains some a little bit of smudge there. So now you're not going to draw scenes like this for interiors. You're going to be drawing interiors. But I want you to see, this is probably like a good way to demonstrate initially how this method works. Are there any questions about this so far?
Yes, Duffy, can you please remind us if you really focused on putting that dot below the mountains where the road meets the horizon at the center of the paper? It looks like it's off to the right a little.
Yeah.
In other words, is that a goal?
Good point. Thank you. It does not have to be in the center. The point of convergence for like the vanishing point here in this view, this in one point perspective, this is directly in front of where the viewer is assumed to be. So like as an example, if I have the markers bleed through, by the way. Let's say I want to draw an interior, and just as a basic diagram, okay, here is a here's an interior. Here's a area carpet. This is just off the top of my head here. Let's put some window here too. All right. So are you getting this? This is a quick plan sketch of a sofa, side table, maybe a lamp in the corner, plant, coffee table, right there. All right. So if the perspective is of somebody looking at this space, the viewer could be here. Let's say I want to put you a little closer. Let's say you're like right here, and there's like graphic for this. Like this is like the head and the shoulders of the person standing there. Right? You get that?
Yeah.
Okay. The viewer doesn't have to be right. The viewer, you could decide you want the viewer to be off to the side here, which means the vanishing point would be like behind this, like to the right of the sofa. And the way that would be drawn would be, so let me just do that here. So you can see it. All right. So if I say I have like horizon line, which is an imaginary thing, get it all straight. Okay. Vanishing point is there. Walls out here. Okay. If the eye level is about 5 feet or 5'6", depending on the height of the person, really. Right? So if this is like a wall elevation, if this is 5, let's say I don't have like a really super tall ceiling. Actually, I don't want to make it too. I need room down here for my floor in perspective. So I think what I have to do is I'm going to cut this off so it's like maybe like this kind of suggests like maybe a 9-foot ceiling. Right, it's a little bit less above eye level than below. And my vanishing point is over here. One wall is out here, one wall is there. From the vanishing point, corner, 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 corner. These angles are steeper down to the vanishing point than these are because the viewer's over here. And then your carpet, you can sketch that carpet in there. This like window might be, somewhere over here. A little smaller. That we have like a big like floor to ceiling window here. So like what I'm doing right here is sketching this. Is not fully precise, but it gives you an idea of perspective of that. Does that seem like? Can you kind of see that?
Yes.
So this is like past debate. Like we're gonna start simpler than this, because this is where I want you to get to in this. But like you can see, I've got like wall here, and then like there's a space, like there's like the framing. There's a mullion right there, and then more framing. So like here I'm going to have this window here, and then if I have an elevation of that, I would know whether or not that's like, is that floor to ceiling? Like what's the height of the top and the bottom of the window? Right now I'm just making it up. Where's my vanishing point? So I am like from here, I placed that sofa a little bit off. Actually, scale there. So, like I can sketch generally like a very generic thing that will make you understand sofa. This doesn't have any specific design yet. It's not a specific sofa that you could buy. That's where you would go buy, like, find an image of a specific design and draw it there. But the base of it, you could box it in using accurate perspective. If there's an arm over here, the arm is going to the vanishing point. The arm down here is going up to the vanishing point. You wouldn't see these two angles the same because one of them is way over to the left, based on you being right here. A side table. There. And the side table there. I think this might make that a little bit wider. Yeah. And then here the coffee table. What I would do often is, just so I can position things on the floor better, I'll draw the shape of it, this rectangular shape on the floor in perspective, kind of like it's a floor plan in perspective. And then I'll bring the corners up. So it helps me put it in the right spot relative to the sofa. Here in a plan view, I can see the space between the sofa and the side table, but in perspective, I can only see it like right in, there. The top overlaps with the front of the sofa because it's in perspective. So that's a kind of a long answer, but I think it's an important question that Marion asked. I think was that you, Marion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So and I think it's an important one because you should not assume that the vanishing point in one point perspective is always in the middle, because that is not the case. It's wherever you put the vanishing point, that's going to be the view, like the view of what is directly in front of the viewer, and that's in one point perspective. Okay? So what I want you to do, just as an introductory assignment for one point perspective, is to do this. Draw in, either in Sketchbook or on a larger sheet. I want you to practice using one-point perspective. And the way you'll do that so if you're drawing like there, put your vanishing point somewhere on the line. Draw, let's say, 8 rectangular forms. You can call them boxes if you like. Come on, focus, thank you. But I want you to put them in different places. If you start one, rectangular form, start with a rectangle, just a flat rectangle like that. From the 4 corners is where you'll have edges that recede, that go to the vanishing point. There is one down here. You can sketch that in lightly. You don't see it. This has to be a horizontal parallel to the horizon line. The horizontals are parallel to the horizon line always, in one-point perspective. And I keep saying one-point perspective because there is also two-point perspective. I know some of you are aware of that. And that two-point perspective assumes a different view of what you're drawing. And that different view is seeing it like at a diagonal, not straight on like this. And I'm going to focus on one-point perspective right now. So if you think about like one-point perspective in plan view, here is this. This is you. This is the viewer, this little person. These sides, there are these edges that are receding straight away from you, and then that like where it turns at a 90-degree angle, it stays at a constant depth in space. Two-point perspective would be if you're standing here looking toward the corner. You have angles receding to your right and your left. In this view, looking this way, these receding edges are not receding straight away from you. They're receding out at a 90-degree angle to your right, which means you'd have 2 vanishing points out here and no vanishing point in the middle, unless you had another, an object sitting in one-point perspective. But we're not going to get into that yet. So for now, one-point perspective. All right, good. If you needed to see, like if I needed to know like where that back corner is, and like here, I might need to know that if this is a table and the top is like, not very thick, and it's such that I can see that. if it's like an ottoman or a chair or sofa and you can't, something that's very low to the floor, you wouldn't see this fourth leg here at all. And you shouldn't draw it because sometimes, I've seen this happen where, a student is, kind of like weirded out by the fact that you can only see 3 of the legs of a piece of furniture. And then like, here comes like down comes some mystery leg from nowhere. You shouldn't do that. Okay? So there. You don't, like initially, don't worry about turning them into a piece of furniture. I just did that so I could show you why you would even want to know where those hidden edges are. Little bigger there. So here I got one over there. I'm going to have one down here closer to me. The lower it goes on the page, the closer it comes to the viewer. There, and just practice this. You make these, I make these lines. I move my entire arm. I hold my pencil, firm. If I'm doing detail like shading, I'll use my fingers to like shade like that. But a lot of what I'm doing, let me make that there. You can see I'm using my entire arm. It allows me to keep lines straighter when I do that. Draw from the shoulder, as my old drawing, one of my many drawing professors used to say. And I'm sitting up, I'm actually sitting forward on my chair so I'm not slumping. And if I really need to see it, I can stand up and get right over it and put my head in the way so you can't see what I'm drawing. Yeah. There. Good. Another one. Now, one of the things that I want you to, hopefully you can see quickly is that this box right here could turn into a lot of different types of furniture. I can just like maybe cut the bottom a little bit. Add legs to it. Erase it. Keeping this bottom edge tells me where it actually hits the floor, which is important. Set that leg in a little bit. Cross diagonals on that foreshortened surface and find me the midpoint. Maybe a little bit of a interesting design on there. There. All right, now I'm going to draw something here. So put this in different positions. If I put something right here, if it's corner, let's say I'm just going to put like I'm just going to draw like a rectangle on the ground here. If it's almost or directly below the vanishing point, that's just going to be straight down. So you've got to obey drawing to the vanishing point. Because if I decide that looks weird, I'm just going to do this, then it doesn't really belong with the other objects, because that angle, if you follow it, it's going to hit the vanishing point up there, and that's not correct. The nice thing about perspective is that there is such a thing as, correct and incorrect. And so, I can, help you to make it correct. Might need these out here. The farther right and left usually is when you really, like the straight edge will help to keep things from getting too soft. But sometimes there's a tendency to kind of like, bend the angles. Even like when you're drawing sometimes, if I'm doing this, I like, sometimes curve the line, just because it's a more comfortable way to draw a line. So I got to be careful and not do that. And right there. Good. I can put a little I'm going to put a little fringe. This is an area carpet. Horizontal. Horizontal. There. Yeah. And then I'm going to just try to fit in some more things here. I can draw something like, I'm going to overlap this. I'll draw this behind this one. Maybe I'll just put that there so that it's not super tall. And, I think you can, this can be really just kind of a nice, it's kind of fun once you when you know how to do this, make this just simple effective perspective happen. I would like you to practice it, because this is the kind of thing that, if it looks easy when I do it, and it's because I'm just so familiar with it that I don't have to think about how I'm doing it. Okay. Okay, and again, if this is oh, that's a little awkward right there, but oh well. The corner is right down, just obscured by that. I think I might emphasize this edge. And that, so that it's can help make sure you see this is in front of that. Yeah. And draw at least one form above the horizon line, like this. Because, you might see, in an interior space, some architectural volume above your head. And you need to know that all of these receding edges are coming down to the vanishing point. It does happen. So there. And you might even see a balcony or a mezzanine, and there's a glass, little glass partition, and then furniture up above you, and you would see this furniture only from above. So not impossible that you might encounter furniture that you will see only from below. Okay? All right. I'm going to take a break here. I'm going to stop the recording. This will get posted to the YouTube channel.